Mistakes listeners, this is Dave. And you know what that means? This is Parenting Mistakes. This week we looked at Disney's Dog with a Blog and had a lot of fun as usual. Interesting show for sure. This would be episode 12, and we actually recorded this episode on July 31st, 2015. Sit back and enjoy the show.
So you want a little parenting wisdom?
I do.
Well, maybe not wisdom. We just have to be careful with that word wisdom, right?
Well, but isn't that what you've told me, is that as you get older and you have more children, you get more wisdom?
Well, you're supposed to, at least.
Okay.
So
well, then I'm ready for the wisdom.
So quick review. I'm Todd. That's Dave.
Mm-hmm.
This is Parenting Mistakes.
Right.
We are not experts.
True.
So, we're just two dads talking about parenting. I have 3 kids. Dave has 2.
I do.
We are the same age, even though Dave likes to talk like I'm way older.
Well, we still haven't cleared that up. But that's for another show, right?
When's your birthday?
I can't say.
You give me a month.
Last week you scolded me for asking for a day.
No, I just said I'm not going to give that on the internet anyway.
Okay, October.
Okay.
The general month of October.
Okay, so Dave and I are within a year of each other, but we are in different phases of parenting because my children are a good deal older.
That's right.
So my oldest is 17. She is about to start her senior year of high school, which is surreal. And she's looking at colleges.
Right.
So I'm just going to throw this at you, and I don't have like a great piece of wisdom, but just something to look forward to.
Wait, is this advice? Or is this, what is this? Like a fortune cookie?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready. Crack that cookie open, man.
Okay. So how you handle college as a parent is totally up to you. Some parents say, this is where you're going. And other parents say, you should go get a job. And other parents say, here's some cash, go travel. Or this is what we're paying for. That sort of thing.
Okay.
So we've been looking at colleges for a couple of years now. My daughter has a spreadsheet. And she is in the process of picking colleges. And she's going to have to narrow it down. She's going to have to pick one in the next probably few months. And we have ultimately left that up to her. We've given her some guidelines. Or at least, I should say, we've given her some wishes. Some things we'd like her to think about. Factors, that sort of thing. But
Sorry, factors. Okay.
Factors.
Right. Sorry.
Well, so
I'm waiting. I'm on tippy toes right now.
This is feeling very anticlimactic already.
Yeah, I can tell right now.
So here's the thing. As parents, at some point, you do have to let go of certain things. In other words, you have to leave them to your kids, which I will segue into our episode in a second, because that was part of the theme of the episode.
That's true.
So I'm not saying that that's how you should parent, and I'm not saying that we have now let her make all her own decisions, because she's still senior high school. She still lives at home, and the bulk of the things that she has to do still have to be approved by us. But it's kind of an interesting place there we are as parents. And you've talked about over-the-shoulder parenting.
Yep.
And I think one of the mistakes that parents make sometimes is they say, all right, I'm the parent, but my kids have their own little thing, like the shows that they watch. That's their little realm, and I'm just going to have them enjoy that. I'm going to keep away from that.
Yep.
Yep,
and that's kind of like why I love what we're doing right now, is that we're trying to get an insight into that very world that you're talking about.
Right. And I'm not saying that, this is, again, just because have older kids doesn't mean that I'm making the right decision. When we're making this decision, my wife and I, to sort of say, all right, we'll let you choose where you're going to college. We want you to be happy.
Right.
That's a hard thing, because
so
as parents,
let's put a little caveat on this. Let's up the ante a little bit, right?
All right.
So both you and Laura went to Calvin College.
We did.
Which, wouldn't you want your daughter to go to Calvin College, right?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a angsty feeling there as the parent, right?
Right, and that's where it's an interesting transition, because where you are as a parent, and where I am for the most part as a parent, we still give our children directions.
Yes.
May I do this? Yes, you may. May I do this? No, you may not. Please, no. Still no. Well, why? Because I'm the parent. That's just the way that it is.
Oh, I wouldn't parent like that, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well, generally, I have on occasion just said because I'm the parent. I just don't feel like explaining to it right now. It's just
yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I understand. I get that.
That's an odd transition to sort of say, all right, we've taught you everything and we're going to teach you. We're going to let you make this decision. So
right.
So that's a segue. A little segue right there.
Well, you haven't finished the story.
That is the story.
No, it's not.
It's not a story. Fortune cookie isn't a story. There's no characters on a fortune cookie. I'm giving you something to look forward to as a parent. That at some point you will have to just
let go.
Let go.
I'm going to have to let go.
We're not going to sing the song.
Okay. It's unfortunate that she hasn't actually picked a college yet so that we can, grind against that, right?
Well, we can circle back to that in a few months.
Yeah. So let's put this conversation on hold and then we'll really get to the fortune cookie, right?
The fortune cookie. All right. So we did
Dog with a blog.
Dog with a blog, which I did not know existed until a couple months ago, but
yep.
Now I'm sufficiently educated. All right, we did season 3, episode 16, with the very controversial title, You're Not My Sister Anymore.
Yep.
So this is another Disney Channel vehicle, and as you might expect, the show is about exactly what the title says. It's a dog with a blog.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this family. I called it sort of the Brady Bunch theme. Again, smaller Brady Bunch theme.
Okay.
Two parents that both brought kids into the relationship. I don't know if that's really relevant or not, but parents, 3 kids.
Right.
I think 1 went with one parent and 2 came with the other parent. Anyway, so 3 kids, and they have a dog. And for
okay. Well, let's be clear about this. 3 kids and 3 dogs.
And 3 dogs, yes.
So that's the mixed family in this situation. That's that we could call it the Brady Factor, except this time we bring in the canine equation.
Yes, but in this case, apparently the dog talks.
Yes.
Which I was just reading the history of the show, and again, another one of our huge caveats is when we talk about these shows, we watch one episode on purpose. There are certain things that we will make assumptions about or guesses about or things we'll read about, and we will probably get them wrong. But the impression I get is that earlier in the show, the family didn't necessarily know the dog talked, but now they do know the dog talks. And the whole premise of the show is built around the fact that the dog has a blog where he sort of chronicles the life and times of the family.
Yep.
Similar to plenty of other shows we've seen throughout television history where there's sort of a wrap-up / narrator type character who summarizes everything that has happened and adds a few.
So again, I'm going to have to eat crow because I said in the Ponies episode that was probably one of the only shows that I'd seen that actually had a wrap-up or a moral to the story in it. And this show had just that. It actually had a wrap-up and a moral. Things that we learned from this particular episode, which is interesting in that the dog actually didn't play a whole lot into the main scenario of the story, yet he had a lot of insight into what happened.
Yes.
So that's basically the writers giving families or kids or whoever's watching an opportunity to kind of wrap it up, which I thought it's great. Again, I love application. I love a show that kind of like, right, there are lots of things going on the show, and there we had this dog wrapping it up for us.
Yeah, and I liked some of the scenarios that they presented. There's always, whenever you go Disney, there's always the risk that it's going to be either sensationalized or just way too clean and neat. And it's still clean and neat because it has to get done in 22 minutes. But it had some semi-realistic family scenarios.
So the family scenario that was set up is basically there are 3 humans, the oldest boy, the middle child, and they had the baby sister.
Yes.
And the middle child basically is kind of, I would say, the core character of that show. I'm not exactly sure what was her name, Todd. We need to write the names down.
We do. I don't know. It's irrelevant. Middle
Okay.
child. Middle
So
daughter.
the middle child, we need to write the names down because it's just shoddy to say middle child, and then the little baby girl, and then the older boy. But for this episode, we're going to go with the middle child is basically the best friends, or her youngest sister, the baby girl, sees the middle daughter as her best friend, and they have a very good relationship, or a familial relationship. The setup is the youngest girl comes to advice to the middle girl and basically says, I'm having problems with a friend at school or a friend at the playground. And the middle child basically says, hey, if that friend's giving you a lot of guff, then it's not worth it to hang out with people that are giving you pain. Right? So that's the setup. So you go, and I'll go with you to the playground, and we'll tell this little girl that you can't be friends with her anymore. They get to the playground, and lo and behold, the other little girl in which we're going to basically dump, turns out she has a middle older brother who's extremely attractive and cute, and has kind of a prior relationship with the middle girl in that she's seen him at the mall and has bought a lot of cookies from him because he works at a cookie stand. And
the middle girl is Avery, by the way.
Right. Thank you. The middle girl is Avery.
And Chloe.
So Avery then goes, whoop, I really want to get to know this guy, and maybe I should manipulate my little sister into saying, hey, wait a minute here, maybe let's just forgive and forget. Right? This is the advice that she gives Chloe. So just as Chloe's about to sever her relationship with this other girl, say the name.
Avery.
Girl. Avery comes over and basically says, hey, don't do that because it's not nice. You should give this relationship another shot. And there being the hidden agenda, gosh, if the girls just continue to connect, then I'll get to hang out with the older brother longer.
Totally disingenuous, but actually semi-realistic.
Yep. Nope.
Siblings are used as pawns in relationships.
I like that Avery actually has an inner monologue that's basically saying, I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because, hey, cute guy.
Right.
I think we all do that. Gosh, there are lots of things I liked about this show. I think, again, I like the tone of the show. I like that it's friendly. How about this? Outside of... Okay, so a lot of these shows that we watched from the Disney Channel so far, I feel like a lot of the actors are just saying lines on the screen. They walk up to the camera, they're on cue, there's the line. I feel like, yes, there was some of that in Dog with a Blog, but I felt like the people were putting a ton of effort into it. They were over-exaggerating their characters, and in some cases I actually kind of find it funny. And I feel like the acting there had a lot of effort in it. And I really liked that. I like being entertained. I found it entertaining.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that, but at the same time, I don't know. When you say they walk up and they deliver their lines, again, this is again where we have to separate us as parents,
yep.
And we're not the demographic.
I'll say that, but a caveat to that, I just want you to know that I think it is okay to be entertained.
Yeah, it is, but the lines, I think, are so sometimes over the top and so over dramatic.
Which, right, for their target demographic, this is exactly what they want, right? Like it's got to be over exaggerated. The sight gags are huge.
Right.
But I felt like the cast and the crew were actually putting a lot of effort into this show.
So the other subplot, there's 2 plots going on. There's that plot, and then there's the older son, Tyler, who is apparently a BMX rider. Is that what he is?
Yep.
And he is supposed to be in this competition, and he's told his parents he's going to be in this competition, and they're very excited for him, and they're proud of him. And he is leaving the house because he's going to go to this competition for 3 days. Well, come to find out, he didn't actually make the competition, and he's too ashamed to tell his parents, and so he decides that he's going to just hide in the house for 3 days.
Yes, and for their target demographics, this makes complete sense.
It does. And meanwhile, the parents just sort of wander about the house, filling time with
sight gags and a lot of over-exaggerated conversation.
Fairly useless dialogue.
Yeah.
So, I would agree. And in the one hand, it still wraps up all nice and happy at the end. The girls, we'll just go spoilers. The girls end up making up. The middle girl, Avery, realizes that her sister's relationship is more important than chasing after this cookie store guy. Although,
right.
There's plenty of times where the siblings don't have that realization. Kids in high school can be very short-sighted in that regard. A couple of things I did like, and these again are sort of realistic, and this is where I circle all the way back to my sort of example with my daughter, is that when the son is discovered eventually, which he's going to be by the parents, when he's discovered, he's expecting a punishment. And again, we can do more research, but this isn't necessarily as important. I believe he's in college age.
He's getting there, right? Like this is his final years at home or whatever.
So he's looking for a punishment from the parents for the deception. And they sort of pull back and they sort of say, well, you're going to have to sort of live with the consequences of your decisions.
Yep.
Your punishment already, you've already been punished in that you've let your team down. I guess he's on this team and he didn't, perform well, and he's already had to endure shame and guilt and that sort of thing. And that's not necessarily something where we go, oh yes, that's perfect. At some point, just like I was talking about, we just stop disciplining our children because they'll just have to learn to live with their own consequences. That's not necessarily the case. But that is semi-realistic because sometimes, you get to a point you go, look, grounding you at this point isn't going to do any good. You've already lost a bunch of stuff. You will pay for your consequences. So I did like that in some regards. Concerns I had, again.
Well, I'll say this. It's a family drama with a catchy name. That
right.
Again, because I only get to watch one, we could watch more, and who knows, maybe down the road we'll watch another episode again. But Dog with a Blog would make me assume that it's going to be centered around that dog.
Right.
And it's not. I mean, the dog plays some sight gags here and there, and the dog actually is raising some sort of family on his own. And he's not even sage, right? Like, are we getting any sage advice from the dog? No. I mean, he's a neat effect, I'll say that.
No, but he is sort of, they do sort of put the dog in a place where it's sort of the level-headed character. Like it does sort of give
the dog,
advice to
and
people.
Honestly, the dog has to play straight, right? The dog has to play straight because the humans are the crazy ones.
Right, which partially plays into one of my concerns. And again, this isn't just us being, grumpy fathers, but do the parents always have to be buffoons on these shows?
Yes, and I would agree with you too. It seems that the parents are again, there's just no way, right? Other than the fact that it's sort of like you can fool a kid in playing hide and seek. Like if I'm saying that something is over there behind the couch, I can play it up, and a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old will believe me. Like, ha, there's something over there. And so I think for somebody that's watching this show would just love the fact that the parents can't see that kid.
Right.
Right? Because they'd fall right into that deception that you're kind of, when you're younger, you're a little more easily fooled, and they would just totally love that. But unfortunately, the parents just look like knuckleheads.
They do.
How could you not notice that your son has never left the house?
Right. How unattentive are you that there is another body in the house? Right. Good luck if a burglar ever gets in.
Right. And I'm not even sure if they know the dog talks. I
That
was
is a good question.
unclear to me if the parents knew that the dog talked.
I would not be surprised if they didn't, and
If they didn't,
I'm
right.
sure a fan could tell us one way or the other.
Right.
But I wouldn't be shocked because yeah, their dialogue suggests that they're just not all attentive to the world. They're sort of warm and fuzzy. They've got sort of that Ward Cleaver, warmth and supportive nature and that sort of thing, which is nice and all.
Yep.
But and again, it's Disney, so I don't expect the parents to freak out. I don't expect them to start throwing furniture when they discover their oldest son's been hiding in a closet for 3 days. But at the same time, yeah, it's difficult to take those characters seriously.
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate, we talked about, for those people that are listening, we've done a bunch of different shows. It makes me appreciate a show like Arthur that we talked about a while ago, where they had adults on the show that were just kind of normal.
Yeah.
They're just normal adults, and they talk like normal adults, and they're not the focal point, and that's okay. They can just be normal people. So that is sort of a concern sometimes as parents to sort of say, look, we understand the sort of genre of kids shows. We've talked about this before, that there's always kind of this element of the kids being in charge, the kids calling the shots, that sort of thing, which is a little bit of a fantasy of kids.
Yeah, and I think actually one of the slogans that I've seen on kids programming is "Kids Rule," right?
Yes.
Like you go into the, you're watching a commercial like "Kids Rule," and I'm like,
Right.
That's exactly what I want to hear, right?
Right. And that is a double meaning. Kids rule as in, kids are fantastic, or kids rule as in
We're the leadership.
we are the leadership.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, can I recommend this show? Yeah, it's fine. It's Disney, it's clean. Again, you got to know that the lines are very, very sort of over-the-top witty. People don't talk like this. Every character looks like they fell straight out of a Gap ad, which is annoying sometimes. It's still kind of the very clean, nice, well-pressed, upper-middle class lifestyle.
Yeah. Oh, you don't
Which is
like
not
that
always-
life? Yes, you don't like that lifestyle? Is that what you're
Well,
saying? Yeah.
I'm just saying the whole world is not, upper-middle class, so...
Well, it's the fantasy, though, right?
Yeah,
That's the
I
fantasy.
suppose.
I mean,
There you go.
Again, they're trying to provide a fantasy. The resolve of the episode, we never even got to the title of the episode, is that the younger daughter realizes that she's been deceived, and she basically declares that she no longer wants to be in a relationship, or she no longer wants that sister anymore.
Right.
So then the sister goes out of her way to basically do this massive apology by basically saying, here are all the ways in which I love you.
Right.
Now, what I liked about that as well was that it could have been easily written as a snarky response. There could have been a snarky resolve to the whole thing, and there isn't. It's like, wow, I knew I made a bad decision when I made it. Now I'm dealing with the consequences of some of that decision, and I really love my sister beyond this hunky guy, which she actually says, this guy really isn't worth it.
Right.
And what's really worth it is my little sister. And I'm like, for me and my family, that's a key message.
Sure.
I'm like, I like that message. Now, it's again over-exaggerated, and no family would ever do this in 20 minutes, and I could see a resolve in reality over a period of, say, a week. Right? Like, this is how this would all play out. But I actually would highly recommend Dog with a Blog. Surprisingly so. And I actually think Disney knows they have something there. And the reason I say that is, if you watch some of the advertising, it was leading right into Girl Meets World, which is Disney's premier show right now. Like, this is not a show that they're just kind of shuffling around and, hey, we know the kids will like this formula. I think there's actually some effort placed into the show. And I know it sounds a little bit gimmicky, and I think I'd like to return to the show again, too, or see what it's more about. But, yeah, I would totally recommend this show. As far as entertainment is concerned, as far as the message is concerned. Again, they had 2 points which were, hey, this is the consequences of life, and then yet the other girls are dealing with, I made some bad choices, and now I'm going to have to make up for some of what I did, right? And the way to do that is to kill my sister with kindness and to show that I love her. Yes, it's hammy. It's very Disney.
Yes.
But in 20 minutes, why not, right?
Sure. Yeah, as long as you can get past the parents are idiots aspect of it,
Correct.
which is okay.
But that's the weird part. They're the ones doling out some of that information at the end of that show. They're not completely absent. It wasn't like, hey, by the way, Mom called me on the cell phone and said I need to apologize.
Right. They are
Right.
around.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to give them credit for that. This is the final season, so you better hurry up.
Yeah, you better. Yeah. Well, it's right. And I'd be curious, and maybe we could do an episode someday that would talk about what our ideal show is. Like what are we looking for, right? Because certainly when we look at Dog with a Blog, it comes pretty close to like all the things I like to see in 20 minutes, but it's not a perfect show.
No. Last thoughts?
Well, that's my last thought there, buddy.
Okay. So follow us on Twitter, Parent Mistakes, and now on Facebook,
Ooh.
Parenting Mistakes. So we had to shorten the Twitter one because we couldn't fit Parenting Mistakes. So it's Parent Mistakes. But on Facebook, Parenting Mistakes, where you can pick up our latest episodes, give us feedback.
Hey, free episodes.
Free.
Everybody likes free.
Everybody likes free. And we like feedback. Give us some comments.
Yeah.
Positive, negative.
Actually, what I would love, and
Tell me.
beyond the feedback, one thing that I would absolutely love is recommendations. What do you want us to watch? We
Yeah,
would
what do you want us to
totally, if you just sent us one line that says, I want you to watch Pillsbury Boy or something. Let's find Pillsbury Boy and watch it. Like, if you want us to watch something, no, it's not. It's the show that I'm going to, I don't know.
Just
Pillsbury
pulling something
Boy.
Out of your head.
Right. McLaren Hansberry, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Please give us some shows that we can watch. We'll watch them for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Until next time.